Yeah, Peter, yeah,
I think so, yeah.
it's on live anyway. Good evening, everyone. Can I
Good evening.
call this meeting to order? I'd like to welcome you to this meeting of the Planning and Licensing Committee. I am the Chair, Councillor Shakil Ahmed. Before we start, could I ask the clerk to notify the committee of any apology received and to introduce the members of the committee and the officer who are in attendance? Peter?
Yes, Chair. Not received any apologies for this evening's meeting. Members in attendance, Councillors Rana, Zahir, Rashid, Taylor, Davidson, Susan Emmett, Winkler, Shah Wazir, Rachel Massey, Phil Burke, Peter Rush, and Councillor Meir. Officers in attendance are John Gilligan from Highways, Daniela Ripper and Samia Saida from Planning Services, plus Paul Moore, Head of Planning Services, Lorraine Adams from the Legal Services. And I believe Faye Davis is in attendance from the Education Service in case members need to ask any questions. And Councillor Smith's in attendance as a West Middleton ward member.
Thank you. This meeting is being held via Zoom, and I should first advise members of the committee that this meeting is being streamed live on Council YouTube channel. Therefore, members need to be aware that any inappropriate language or comments will be picked up and broadcasted. Such comment could cause embarrassment to the member concerned and also to the council. When a member has finished speaking, please can they remember to press the mute button. A member of the committee service team may do this for you if you fail to do so. Please, could I ask the members either turn off or mute their mobile phones? This meeting is open to public, but it is not a public meeting. The following procedure will apply. I will introduce the application. The planning officer will provide an update, or if appropriate, the committee may question the planning officer. Objector or the application or the representative may address the committee for maximum 5 minutes. Objector asks to nominate one or more person to represent. If more than one person is addressing the committee, the 5 minutes that you have been allocated will be shared between you. The committee then question the objectors or the planning officer regarding the comments. The applicant or the representative may address the committee for maximum of 5 minutes. The committee then question the applicant or the planning officer regarding the comments made. Any ward councillor may address the committee, and I may permit question to the ward councillor or planning officer regarding comments made. Members are reminded that they need to be present and visible during the consideration of planning application. If a member goes off the line a period of time during consideration of an application, they will not be allowed to vote on the application. The committee then discussed the application, the decision will be made. I will read out the proposal resolution before the committee vote on the decision will be conducted by means of roll call. Member present, which will be read out by the clerk. Each member will be asked if they wish to support, reject, or abstain regarding proposal. This will be voted upon. And I just remind members and the public on this, there's no chat messaging allowed, apart from question and comment, and these are only permitted to the members on this, because there are public who will not see these pictures. There are people on recording, so there's no chat, anything loud. And if that happens, this facility will be taken away. Okay. Apologies. Minutes of last meeting.
Approved.
Anybody second it?
Seconded.
Okay. Declaration of interest.
Chair, I've got a declaration of interest. I come to the meeting with an open mind and I'd like to speak a bit later on, please, if possible.
Okay, so you have no declaration, but you just want to speak on it as a member of.
Well, I'd need to declare, Chair, because I've received emails and telephone calls in relation to this application.
Okay, do you want to comment on the loading, or is that okay?
Sorry, Chair, just to unmute myself. I think what Councillor Burke is saying is that he's coming to the meeting with an open mind and he will be voting on the application. He's ready to listen to it and he'll be voting on the application. Is that correct, Councillor Burke?
Chair, I'd like to speak as a ward councillor and not a committee member, if that's possible. I did vote last time in favour of the application.
Oh, sorry. So I've misunderstood. So Councillor Burke doesn't wish to partake as a committee member in this application. He wants to speak as a ward councillor, in which case that will be up to you, Chair, whether obviously you permit Councillor Burke to speak. But he won't be
Yeah.
taking any part in the application as a member of the committee.
Is that correct, Phil? Or you just gonna speak any email you've been, what you trying to say, you had a number of emails from your ward. That's what you're trying to say.
Yeah, I've had a number of emails raising concerns which I'd like to address with the committee. Therefore, I think it's best if I step to one side as a committee member and come to the meeting as a ward councillor to address these issues with the committee.
Chair, to clarify, we've had instances like this in the past where members have withdrawn or resigned from the committee for a specific planning application, taken no part. So I suggest that's what we do with Councillor Burke in this instance.
Okay, that's fine. That's Phil. I got Councillor Winkler wants to speak, and then Rachel Massey. Councillor Winkler.
Chair, I'll declare that I have been contacted by members of the public about this, but I haven't expressed an opinion, and I'm coming with an open mind to the meeting.
That's fine.
Thank you.
Councillor Rachel Massey.
Thank you, Chair. I want to declare an interest as the assistant portfolio holder for Getting a Good Start. But again, like my colleagues, I come with an open mind and are prepared to vote.
That's fine. Are we happy with that? Yeah. Any urgent item business, Peter? No.
No, Chair, no.
Thank you. Okay, we are on number 5 now. Land at East Haywood Hall Road, Middleton. That's just on page 6 and to 28. Before I read out the, just let you know that's where it is. So it's application number. I'm going to just going to read. Sorry.
Sorry, Councillor, to interrupt. Can I just check what Councillor Rachel Massey's interest was?
She is just a cabinet assistant member for the education. That's all.
It used to be known as Children's Services, Lorraine. Now it's Getting a Good Start.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
So the application number is 20/00912. It's a previous application which was approved by this planning committee in October back. So this is a material related application now. It already has been approved and it's a full application. So I asked the officer if he can update anything that needs to be updated.
Yes, thank you, Chair. As you've outlined there, an outline application was approved by the committee in October. That included full details of the access arrangements for the proposed school and obviously the principle of the development of the land for a school purpose. The application that's before you this evening is an application for the approval of the reserve matters. Those are the appearance, landscaping, layout and scale. So those are the matters that are under consideration by the committee this evening. I just want to also mention that we've had a number of late representations that have been sent to various councillors, but I think that's been covered in the declarations of interest that have just preceded this introduction. The other point to note is that the planning officer is present to do the presentation for members, at which point in terms of questions, we've also got the highways officer present as well. So if questions are directed at me, I will possibly nominate either highways or the planning officer to take those questions on our behalf. That's it from me, Chair. We do have obviously the update report that's been circulated, just a few changes to 3 other conditions. Thank you.
Anybody other question for the officer? No. And that's right. Same as Heather, it's to you to present your report.
Can I just check you can see the presentation?
Yeah, I can see it. I can see
Yeah.
the screen. Yep.
Okay, thank you, Chair. So as Daniela explained, the application seeks reserve matters approval, including appearance, landscaping, layout and scale for the new school.
Sorry, Chair, I can't hear you, Samina.
Can you hear me?
Better now,
hear.
yeah, thank
That's
you.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Daniela explained that this is a reserve matters approval application seeking details of appearance, landscaping, layout and scale for the new school known as Edgar Wood Academy. The school was granted outline consent with access at the Planning and Licenses Committee on the 13th of October last year. And this reserve matters application submission also contains details to address a certain number of conditions as listed within the committee report at page 8. This slide shows the indicative site layout, which was an approved document on the outline planning permission. This indicated the general form, layout and location of the various uses that were envisaged for the new 900 Place secondary school. The outline planning permission also agreed matters in relation to the access arrangement, including the provision of a new priority T-junction with Hayward Hall Road, including a new right turn Ghost Island. In terms of the reserve matters application, it's important to note that the principle of the development of the site, including the access arrangement, has already been agreed. The need for the school has also been accepted here, and therefore these are not matters that can be given weight or considered for this reserve matters.
Same, just hang on a minute. Peter Thompson, could you send email to Councillor Zaman? He's having difficulty to log on.
Yes, I will, Chair. Yeah.
Okay, same.
So in terms of the reserve matters proposal, the school building and sports hall are positioned central to the southern portion of the site. It's located further away from the residential estate to the east when compared to the approved indicative site layout, which was on the previous slide. The size and scale of the buildings shown are within the parameters set within the outline stage. In terms of kind of the grass playing fields, a multi-use games area known as a mugger will be located close to the sports hall. And in terms of outdoor sports, the layout includes grass pitches for a number of sports and a 400-metre athletics track. There will be a 3-court hard surface mugger located to the east of the site and a secondary sports area providing the southeast corner. Boundary treatments will include a 2.4-metre high well mesh fence for the entire perimeter of the site. Internally, there will be a 1.8-metre high well mesh fencing, and the hard surface area will be contained within a 3-metre high well mesh fence. Sport England have confirmed that the proposals comply with their sport objectives, subject to conditions which have been taken forward in the recommendation. The next slide shows the site sections. It shows the ground levels and distances between the school buildings and the dwellings along Wrigley Fold and Hayward Hall Road to the north. Distances from the school buildings to the closest house on Hayward Hall Road and Wrigley Fold is 191 metres and 184 metres respectively. In terms of heights, the school buildings are located along the site contours at 108 metres above ordnance distance, and dwellings at Wrigley Fold are located at 112 metres. Landscaping, materials treatment, colours and the separation distances ensure that the scale of the buildings appear reduced. The next few slides show the school in the context of the residential viewpoints, giving a better idea of the distances, landscaping and materiality used. The first slide shows the elevated view from Bowley Park. You have Rochdale Way here, you've got Wrigley Fold around here and Hayward Hall Road here. You can see the landscaping treatment along here, here and along here. This is the elevated view from Hayward Hall Road, so it's to the north, taken from the north. There's a residential estate here. You can see the landscaping that will be proposed here. You've got landscaping here and then landscaping along the internal access arrangement. And then these are a couple of kind of street views from Wrigley Fold and Hayward Hall Road. In terms of the appearance, the facade has been split into 2 zones, which can be seen in this slide. The lower zone, mainly at ground floor level, will be clad in a solid fibre cement rain screen cladding in ash grey. The upper zone, which will be at first and second floor, will be formed of aluminium raised seam cladding in Merlin grey. The colour choice has been inspired by Edgar Wood, the architect and artist, with references to his work made in the branding and internal and external treatment of the school, including the landscaping and entrance plaza area shown here. To provide some contrasting and contemporary interest, key spaces will be emphasised with elements of curtain wall glazing, with entrances formed of recessed glazing, providing active frontages and views into the school from different directions. The Council's Conservation and Design Officer has been consulted and considers the external building material and colour palette to be appropriate. The officer concludes that there would be no harm to the setting of the Birch Village Conservation Area, which is located north along Hayward Hall Road. These are just some of the views of the materiality, showing the distances as well, and the colour palette. In terms of landscaping, there is the tree constraints plan which has been produced, and the landscaping has been informed by this, including a method statement and an arboricultural impact assessment. The plan on this slide shows the trees that will be removed in red and those that will be pruned back in green to allow the development to take place. In terms of the soft landscaping, the existing hedgerows and trees along Rochdale Way will be retained, and a further 227 metres of native hedging will be planted across the site. Additional tree planting will also be provided with areas of key sensitivity, including aspects towards residents, prioritised for screening. This includes this area here, and along Rochdale Way. Greater Manchester Ecological Unit have been consulted and have confirmed that the tree planting here is acceptable, and matters in relation to biodiversity enhancement will be provided under condition 18 of the outline planning permission. In terms of the hard landscaping, different types of tarmac surfacing and concrete block paving will be provided to mark out various external areas in and around the school. If we can just turn to the access arrangement, as we've mentioned, the arrangement and location has been agreed at the outline application stage, and this reserve matter submission further supports that arrangement through the submission of a transport assessment. The transport assessment concludes that the proposed development would have a limited impact on the operation of the wider highway network in terms of increase in traffic volume. The committee report at page 20 lists a number of traffic management schemes for Hayward Hall Road that has been delivered in the immediate vicinity of the site, provided in connection with nearby residential developments. One of these improvements was a recommendation of Transport for Greater Manchester and includes a signalisation to Hayward Hall Road with Langley Lane Junction. The Council's highway section has confirmed that these works are already underway to complete the signalisation before the school opens. The committee report at page 18 lists the on-site parking provision, all of which are in line with the planning policy position. The provision of car parking standards for vehicles has actually been exceeded to avoid issues with off-site parking, addressing a number of residents concerned with respect to parking along Hayward Hall Road. There are two laybys providing 19 car parking spaces, and the bottom image shows a tracking exercise which has been done in the transport assessment, which shows a bus can safely enter and manoeuvre into the site, and the same exercise has been done for service vehicles and emergency vehicles. In terms of pedestrian connections, a new pedestrian and cycle connection will be provided along the route of Rochdale Way as part of Condition 3 of the Outline Planning Permission. The primary route will run from Martindale Crescent across to Hayward Hall Road, with a secondary route from Windermere Road. A new pedestrian and cycle entrance will be provided to the southwest corner of the site along Rochdale Way to link this through. Whilst bus provision on Hayward Hall Road is limited, it is envisaged that staff and pupils will use buses that stop on Windermere Road and walk through Bowley Park and the new pedestrian and cycle connection along Rochdale Way. In terms of other technical matters, the reserve matters application has been supported by an environmental noise assessment, which confirms that fencing around the multi-use games area will need to be securely clamped to reduce vibration and associated noise. No further mitigation is required in respect of noise matters. A drainage and flood strategy has also been submitted, which confirms a number of sustainable urban drainage elements which have been incorporated into the scheme, as listed at paragraph 55 of the committee report. In terms of foul drainage, the preference is for foul water to be pumped into the public sewer located within a side street of Tudor Grove. Both the council's drainage engineer and United Utilities have confirmed acceptance of the surface and foul water drainage strategy. To summarise, therefore, the proposal accords with the principles established by the Outline Planning Commission, which agreed full details of the access. Details in respect of the layout, scale, appearance and landscaping are considered acceptable, and matters in relation to highways, ecology, heritage, crime prevention, amenity and drainage have also been considered by the relevant statutory and internal consultees. Accordingly, it's recommended that committee resolves to grant planning permission, reserve matters permission, subject to the conditions listed and as updated in the update paper. Thank you.
Thank you, Samia Seda. Right, we've got Councillor Wazir Shah as a question. Anybody else apart from Councillor Wazir Shah, from committee members only? Yeah, Councillor Wazir Shah.
Thank you, Chair. In fact, I've got two questions. I know that we're given outline planning permission to this particular development, and tonight we are discussing the material, and we have to make sure that we get everything spot on. I know this new school will bring a lot of traffic to this site. My first question is that I was listening to presentation, and it says that there will be 19 drop-off spaces provided for the parents. And this committee, all the real councillors, they know that we are having a great difficulty around the schools with inappropriate parking. And this will, knowing that population is further away and more cars will be coming in, more vehicles will be coming in, and it's just that time in the morning. Everybody wants to drop their children just 5 minutes before the start. So it'll be a great rush, lot of traffic, and yet there's no space to accommodate, and we will be compromising the safety of our children. So that is my first question, that we haven't got enough drop-off spaces. That is what we're going to do with that. And second question is relating to highway. I know Saima has shown us the marking. It's a main artery between Middleton and Haywood. Again, the parents are looking for convenience, and they'll say to children, okay, rather than coming into the school compound, we'll park it on the highway, come there and we'll pick you up. So it is going to cause huge problem, a blockage at this particular point. So I really need to know tonight, because we are deciding on this application, what provision, workable provision we have, both for the highway and inside the compound, to ensure the children's safety is not compromised. So these are my two questions here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Wazir Shah. I've got Peter Winkler and then Sean Neal. Is that a question for the highway? I think this.
Yes, Chair.
I suppose we start first and foremost with the pick up and drop off. You've got 19 spaces there that are designed entirely for pick up and drop off. That's 19 more than any other school in the borough. No other school in the borough has got provision specifically for pick up and drop off. There's an area front in St. Patrick's which is intended for that, but it's not really in the same way. What you got to understand is if we provide 500 spaces for pick up and drop off, that will guarantee you 500 vehicles will turn up. If we provide 600, that will guarantee you 600. The intention is not to provide this facility so that people come and definitely use it. The intention is to provide a facility for the people who absolutely must use it, and we want children to get to school under their own means, to use walking, cycling, sustainable transport like we do for people who are going to work. This is better for their education. It's proven that the children who arrive in this fashion arrive brighter, ready to work, ready to go, whereas the children who are delivered by car are not ready for the school at the start in the morning. They're not awake, they're not ready to go. So to one extent, we don't want to provide massive amounts. It isn't beneficial to the education of the children, and to another extent, the provision that is there is sufficient. and you've got to understand that they're not going to park there all day. When they drop off and they leave. You know, it's a rolling situation, and the layout lends itself first and foremost to people going in and going out without causing obstruction.
Thank you, John. Go Peter Winkler, Sean Neal, and I go Aaron Davis. I want to make a comment. Okay. Peter Winkler, yeah.
Thank you, Chair. A few things. I'm sorry, they're probably going to go to John again because they are generally highways related. The first one though is just something I've picked up now. Actually, the road that's going to run from the main road up to the school, we refer to Rochdale Way. I take it. I mean that's a new road that's being put in just to access the school, Rochdale Way.
I'll let Samia take that one, the case officer.
Councillor, Rochdale Way is the public right of way that runs alongside Bowley Park and site. So Rochdale Way is itself the improvements that are being made in terms of pedestrian and cycleway. Alongside that, you've got the internal access road.
That's right. But my question is it already named Rochdale Way?
I believe so. I believe
or is there something more appropriate to Middleton School that we can call this road?
I believe it's called Rochdale Way already, and that's why
right.
we referred to it as
okay.
that.
Thank you. That was just something I pick up some now. The important
I think,
stuff,
Peter,
however,
the Rochdale Way covers the whole borough. So there's routes.
That's fine. More importantly, in terms of the highways aspect, there's lots of things that concern me with this, and it's not just around the school. It's around the area that approaches the school. We've just said we've got 19 drop-off spaces. Councillor picked up on this, saying it's not enough, and they were described as rolling drop-off spaces. The reality is these spaces don't roll. Parents turn up 20 minutes, half an hour before the end of school and sit in them. They're waiting spaces, and we've all seen it. I understand there's maybe less provision at other schools, but it doesn't change the situation that 19 are going to be filled immediately. They're not going to serve the number of cars that are going to come to this school. They are going to spill out onto the main carriageway. As a result of that, with the main carriageway, we have also got a junction which is going to have a turn left and a turn right in there. That has got to cause, surely at peak times, traffic building up, waiting to turn in both directions. Now, I'm also noting that directly opposite the school, there's a house with a driveway who will be trying to come in and out. It seems we've almost created a crossroads in the road at the junction to Rochdale Way now. I can see a lot of congestion around that area. That's obviously going to be a pick up and drop up point as well. Adding to that, we've then go a short way down the road to Langley Lane, and we're going to have a set of traffic lights put in, which are around Langley Lane.
Question, please, Peter Winkler.
My question is this all going to work? I'm setting the scene here of a lot of different problems that I can see, and I'm asking the officer, is this really going to work, or is it just going to cause a massive gridlocked problem when we've got cars coming up and down the main road, traffic lights holding cars back, people trying to turn, parents dropping off, picking up and waiting and sitting for children morning and afternoon. Plus we've got traffic coming through from the motorway services. I still do not get your question. My question is, Chair, we've got so many issues here relating to the road and the lights. I want some confirmation from Highways that this scheme is actually going to work and isn't just going to cause a massive gridlock in Birch Village.
Okay, I think the Highway got the question. Okay, John Gillingham, please.
Again, these are all issues that were dealt with in the outline application, but the simple answer to your question is yes, it will work. You have asked questions about pick up and drop off. The parents arrive 30 minutes before. This is something that you have to tackle with every single school, and it's something we need to tackle as a borough, something we need to tackle nationally. It's not acceptable. Don't take kids to school, don't pick them up. It's not acceptable. It's very selfish behaviour. The people who should be doing that are the people who absolutely must do that, not just a preference, not that's what we like.
Thank you.
Okay,
John.
Chair, if I could ask
Sean,
an
Sean Neil,
additional
please.
question
Next,
on.
there's a question going next. I'm going to go around. Councillor Sean Neil, please.
Thank you, Chair. What I want to ask is, it's a reassurance really on, you mentioned the building materials, specifically aluminium cladding. Could we have some reassurances that aluminium cladding is fireproof? And
Yeah,
it's not the type that possibly causes problems on other buildings?
Yeah, can I come in on that one, please?
Yeah, Paul Moore. Yeah.
Just to deal with that very simply, there would have to be an application for building regulations approval. So that is a matter that would be picked up as part of the separate regulatory process through building regulations, when the details about, you know, fire retardance of those materials would be picked up and dealt with then. So it's not really a matter for the planning stage here. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul Moore.
Okay,
Aaron
thank
Davison.
you.
Aaron Davison.
Thank you, Chair. It's just a quick comment. We're at the stage here where the planning application has gone through. We're just going through what we have to do now to ensure that everything is right. At this stage is where we need to be talking to whoever's going to run the school to ensure that they follow the rules that they've been given. It's as simple as that. We know what's happened in schools in the past. They've said yes, and then all hell breaks loose. We're at the stage now where we can be talking to the school, we can be talking to whoever's going to run it, and we ensure that they follow the rules.
Thank you, Aaron Davison. Very important comment made there. Okay, anybody else has a question? Councillor Winkler.
Thank you again, Chair. Again, to highways, because we're in close proximity with the school to the new Junction 19 link road, has any consideration been taken to the safety of students if there is an accident or a closure on the motorway and this road becomes a diversion route for the motorway? Has any consideration been made as to the volume of traffic which could come down that road in that situation, especially at school start and finish times?
Unmute yourself.
Yeah,
John.
yeah, I've done. Yeah, I think there's two questions there. One question you're asking me is, are we going to change the motorway diversion route as a result of the link road? And that's a question for Highways England to answer. But you know, it certainly would be proposed. It'd be a more appropriate route. It's a good piece of infrastructure that's getting put in there. I suppose the second question is, you know, we are aware this is an A road. We are aware that this is a motorway diversion route, and that has, of course, been taken into account when considering the application.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else question? No, you got objectors here. Peter, could you name who the objectors are? Oh.
Apologies, I believe we got Mrs. Grisdale and Mr. O'Neill.
Is that correct? Who's speaking? Are you both speaking or one of you speaking?
We're both going to speak. 2.5
minutes each, yeah?
It'll be approximately that, yes. When I've finished, I'll hand over to Colin. Yeah.
All right, Gillian, it's all yours. I'm gonna let me just for a minute. Right, okay, that's it. Go on.
Well, just before we start, I mean, we were going to present some slides and photographs because on the correspondence we've had reviewed previously, we've been informed that that was allowed. And we did notify your people earlier in the week, at the beginning of the week, and we were informed just 2 hours before this meeting that we're not going to be allowed to present our slides. Just think it's appalling behaviour that you changed the rules at the last minute. We've tried to follow your processes, but you continually move the goalposts. It's not acceptable. It really isn't. It's censorship.
Peter, do you want to come on that? Because we are following the legal advice here, what Sarah says.
Yes, I've received information from a manager, which gives the reasons for that decision. If I could read it out, see if you like. It's a detailed email.
Do you happy with that email, or are you want to read it out, Jill? Because you cannot make a special rule for yourself.
But my question is, you must have known about that when we notified on Monday that that was our intention. Why did we only get notified 2 hours ago? that we weren't allowed to do it. I think it's underhand tactics again, and we were notified by I think it was by your legal person, John Holmes, that we were allowed to present slides and photos after we complained last time we joined your meeting. Anyway, I just wanted to make that point. The other thing
Okay,
I ask you about,
right, I'll give you your time starts. I'm just going to start your time now, yeah?
Okay. Well,
Okay,
this
right.
consultation has been a total farce. This planning approval is a fait accompli. When the consultation period was opened, the documents were not made available. When they were eventually made available, many of them were corrupted. Documents were missing. Some documents related to a completely different planning application. It's clear you've got no quality control, and the lack of any professionalism is very evident to me. And it should be noted, we were only given less than a week's notice for this meeting. I just think it's really poor. Now, you stated earlier that this meeting should deal with the appearance, the landscaping, the layout and the scale. We believe we'd have an opportunity to comment on that. It's clearly not going to be the case. One of the slides I was going to show you was a photograph of the deer that live in the field. We've raised concerns regarding the wildlife. We received assurances that the wildlife will be protected, but it's not happening. The contractors that have been working on site have not been informed there's a family of deer that live in the field, and the deer and the horses that were in the field at the time were clearly frightened. I was going to show you a photograph of the hedgerows, the trees that used to be in the field. Your presentation says that they will be removed, but actually they've already been removed and the field has been decimated. All of the greenery is gone. When the work started, I emailed the planning officer to ask why work has started before the consultation process completed, and I haven't even received an acknowledgement, and that's 5 weeks later. Work's already started, so it's clear that Rochdale Council has absolutely no intention of addressing any of our concerns. I was going to show you a photograph of a digger destroying all the bushes and the trees. I think the standard method of operation by Rochdale Council is to ignore the local residents, and I would ask, what is the point of this consultation? Your website is extremely misleading. It gives the impression that you act fairly, that you engage with local residents, and you ensure no building is done on greenfield sites unless there's absolutely no other option. There's no evidence that you do what you say. You pay lip service to the consultation process, and it's a tick in the box exercise. I was going to show you more photographs of the field being turned over, the trees being destroyed, and the absolute mess that you've made where the access road is going to go. I've actually been disgusted with the arrogant attitude of the people on the planning committee over the last 18 months. The councillors are supposed to represent the community, not work against us. On your proposals, your planting is nowhere near enough. It doesn't even match what you've taken away. You need
your time nearly 2.5 minutes up, unless you want to carry on.
Okay, I'll just say one more thing, that the school is being built in the wrong place and there's a more appropriate site, and I'll hand over to Colin. Thank you.
Thank you, Colin.
Can you hear me?
Yes, fine.
Okay. I want to start off with some of the comments made by the highways department. It was a different part on the presentation, but I thought I'll kick off with that one. The survey carried out was 2013. It's not even up to date in terms of the amount of traffic that already drive up and down Haywood Road, either to Manchester, to Haywood, etc. It's astounding at times that you can't get outside, even off Langley Lane, to get onto Haywood Road and then get stuck behind more traffic. You're living in cloud cuckoo land. If you think this school and the amount of traffic is going to be restricted by saying to parents, you should think about driving your kids to school. You're not here. You're not listening to us. We're residents. We live with this on a daily basis. You should think clearly what it is you're about to do and consider. Your survey is flawed. Your calculations for drainage is flawed. You're going to pump thousands of litres of foul waste, sewage, etc. into main drains, which is at least quarter of a mile away. What happens when the pumps fail and that drainage doesn't get pumped anymore? It sits where it is. There's only cesspits on that road, along Haywood Old Road. Where is the foul waste going to go? Is it going to go into the surface water drainage? I think that may be the case because it can't go anywhere else. If you think that our privacy isn't going to be a matter of concern, you're also living in Calcuckoo land. This school is 3 stories high. Our properties which back onto this school are going to be overlooked regardless, including when there's evening use of the Muga and the pitches, etc. The Old Sus Academy have even confirmed that our properties will be overlooked. So that's a fallacy. Anyone who thinks a 3-story glass aluminium structure is unobtrusive and in keeping with the surrounding area has obviously not been to look at the site. It won't blend into the landscape. It won't blend into what we've lived with for how many years, which is conservation here. It's Birch Village. It needs special consideration in regarding what buildings are built in the
Thank you, Colin. Your time's up.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
Thank you. If anybody has a question for objectors.
Mine's there then.
No, nobody question you.
Nobody, can't see anybody with a hand up, Chair.
Yeah, thank you, Colin and Gilligan, and thank you for your comments and concern. Okay, is the applicant here, please?
As Miss Anne Hargreaves, I believe, is to address the committee with additional comments from colleagues if required.
Yeah. Fire Davison, is it, Colin? Yeah.
Are you happy for me to start?
Yes, please.
Yep, okay. So good evening, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm the planning agent for this application.
Can you just read your name out because your name's not on the screen, so those members might know your name. Okay.
Yeah, it's Anne Hargreaves.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know why it comes up as it does, but I can't fix it.
Okay. Your 5 minutes start now.
Okay, thank you. So I'm the planning agent for this application, which is submitted by Waits Construction. Waits Construction has been selected by the Department for Education to design and build the new Edgar Wood Academy. And I have some colleagues here from the Waits design team in attendance. So if there's some specific technical questions that we need to have answered, they may be able to help. The principal of the school and the site was accepted at the outline planning application stage as reported by the officers, and we're now looking for reserve matters approval. The scheme is closely aligned to the indicative layout provided with the outline application and maintains the key principles established in relation to building position and access arrangements. The buildings will be a 3-story main building and a 2-story sports building, and the buildings will be linked by a covered walkway. The building appearance provides a contemporary proposal that is in keeping with its green and open setting. The main school building forms a C shape with double height spaces, including the dining area, main hall, and drama studio at its heart. Teaching and support spaces form the wings of the block. This ensures the classroom and office spaces can benefit from natural light, allows noisy and quiet subjects to be separated, as well as easing congestion by situating departments at either side of the school or on different floors. The standalone sports building includes changing rooms, an activity studio, and a double height sports hall. By separating the sports building from the main school, it maximises the opportunity for third-party use without compromising school security and safeguarding. The grass playing fields are provided to the north of the site, maintaining an open aspect to the proposals when the site is viewed from Haywood Old Road and in the context of the conservation area. The buildings are positioned to provide significant separation to the residential properties on Wrigley Fold and Haywood Old Road, and there'll be no issues of overlooking loss of privacy for local residents. And the site topography assists in reducing the visual impact of the built form. The principal access route into the site is via Haywood Old Road. This will provide access for all vehicles and pedestrians and cyclists. The main school gates will be open during the school day for access during drop-off and pick-up and for visitors during the day. There'll also be the secondary access for pedestrians and cyclists from the Rochdale Way. The building location and associated access road provide a generous distance of carriageway from the school gates to the car park. There's 156 metres of space between Hayward Old Road and the car park, which has room for 40 odd cars to stack. That means that even if a car can't get into a car parking space to pick up or drop off, there's plenty of circulation on the stretch, the 156 metre stretch, and then all the way around the loop in the car park. And there's also 2 lay-bys, which would accommodate another 7 vehicles. So I think to say 19 spaces is all we have for drop-off and pick-up is probably a little bit misleading. That's 19 marked spaces, but there's plenty of room within the site to accommodate all the drop-off and pick-up traffic that will come onto site. And it's one of the reasons we deliberately designed the site in the way we did to create that long stacking space. The scheme also provides a significant amount of car parking for staff at one to one full-time equivalent ratio. And the school will also ensure that parents are instructed to enter the site and not stop on Hayward Old Road, and they'll manage that carefully and well. So at this stage, it's not envisaged there'll be any dedicated school buses, but if this does change, there's sufficient room within the site for buses to enter, stop and exit the site, and that tracking exercise has been done and we know it's achievable in the same way that we can bring refuse vehicles in and we can bring coaches in for school trips. So off-site, as been mentioned already, there'll be the signalisation of Hayward Old Road and the Langley Lane junction, and there's also other improvements planned outside the school site as part of a Birch Village scheme being progressed separately by Highways. And the methodology we've used for calculating all the traffic through traffic modelling has been agreed by the Highways Department, and they're satisfied that in the time of COVID, when it's very challenging to do new surveys, that the approach and methodology we've taken is acceptable.
Nearly time up.
Okay, so just to finish off then, just want to clear up a point around the hedgerows and trees that have been removed. They've been removed to prevent birds nesting in them before the work start on the site, and also to make sure that we can install a secure boundary when we start. And we're satisfied that those works in their own right didn't require planning permission, and we did agree that with the local planning authority. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We've got a few members wants to question you. I've got Councillor Wazir Shah and John Taylor. Wazir Shah.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for your presentation. Obviously, you mentioned innovative buildings and future needs, and I totally accept that. And they are all subject to changes in future once we have this particular project. And also, you spend time on explaining that, oh, there's a long stretch of highway and the parent could sort of drop off or sort of accommodate, you know, sort of vehicle. But I've asked the question early on to other officer, but I'm going to ask you this question as well, because we are envisaging this project to serve the local community, hopefully for a next century, at least 100 years. And the traffic is going to increase in 10 years time. You can imagine it'll double. I'm not sort of sure what ratio you mentioned between staff and the car park. I would like you to mention the number tonight, please, that this is the number of spaces you are thinking for the staff. And then we know what size of organization we're going to have. But I still feel, and I can't just go away from tonight's meeting without mentioning that this drop off and the parking issue and the children's safety, I'm still not happy. That is inside the compound. Not to mention outside, there will be a huge problem because the parents look for the convenience. They'll wait.
Councillor, can you stick to the question, please?
Yeah, this is the question. This is the question that is the vehicle number and children's safety, because we just haven't got enough space inside and they will block the highway. And I think we are not sort of addressing that. That is the question I'm asking.
Thank you. Is that for the highway or is that applicant going to answer that one?
Applicant provide answer for us, yeah.
Okay, so there's a few points in there. The number of staff expected at the site is 90, and we've got 91 staff parking spaces actually, so there's sufficient space for one-to-one staff. If we were to have followed the council's policy guidelines, we'd be providing one space per 1.5 classroom, 1.5 spaces per classroom, which would mean we would only be asked to and expected to provide 63 spaces with none for drop off. So we've got a car park with with 110 spaces. So there's a significant number of spaces there, both for staff, 1 each, and then the 19 additional for drop off. And then we've got, as I said before, there's all the stacking space on the road. And then we've got 2 lay-bys, which can accommodate 7 spaces. So hopefully that answers the question. The site, in terms of layout within the site, it's very carefully considered in terms of making sure that pupils can come in on a safe pedestrian route and then cross safely within the car park. And then those coming in from the Rochdale Way will come straight into an area that's separate from the car park and they won't need to cross it. So it's all been very, very carefully considered within the site, and it's a key requirement of the Department for Education that that's what we do. And they have internal design advisors that critique what we do to make sure everyone's satisfied that it will operate safely. So hopefully that reassures you and answers the question.
Okay. John Taylor.
Thanks, Chair. Thanks, Anne, for your update. I'm not sure if my question is particularly for you, but it's only just come up in my mind. Two parts to it. The first one is the comment was made by the objector that the traffic survey was done in 2013, which, if that's the case, the question is that actually up to date or is it out of date information? And the second part is we've spoken quite a lot about Rochdale Way. What are the parking restrictions on Rochdale Way? Because if cars can stop on there for anything more than a couple of minutes, you've got obstructions, you'll have children dodging between the cars, and there's a safety aspect of people getting knocked down. If you could just comment on those, please.
So there's 2 separate questions there. So just to take the last one first, Rochdale Way, I think Samia, the planning officer, alluded to this earlier, that's not a route for cars. You cannot get onto and off it with a car. It's a cycle and pedestrian route. And one of the conditions of the outline planning permission was that route, which is currently sort of just a route on the ground, is fully upgraded. So it's safe to use. So it's going to be surfaced and lit in line with details that have been submitted to discharge that planning condition. So that's all going to be sort of improved far better than it currently is, but it's not going to have any vehicular access. So hopefully that clears that point up. In terms of the traffic data, I do have my colleague Aaron on the line, who might be able to answer this probably perhaps a little bit better than I can. But as I sort of alluded to in my presentation, we've taken the data that's available. We can't collect any valid data at the moment because of COVID. So we've done a robust growth of the traffic data. So you don't just take it at 2013 or 2014, I think it was. You actually apply a growth to make sure that it reflects the position as today's date rather than what it was back then. Aaron, are you on the line and perhaps able to just add a little bit to that?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Just to re-emphasise what Anna has just said there, you're absolutely right. The traffic surveys were undertaken in 2014, and we are limited to the events over the last 12 months, meaning that we are unable to carry out any new traffic surveys. But between ourselves and your highways department, we agreed that we should utilise existing data that was undertaken in support of approved applications by yourselves, and then factored that 2004 data to 2022 and the future year of 2027. So between 2014 to 2027, for instance, we're applying near 20% increase in background traffic flows. So it's not a case that we're assuming historical levels of traffic. We have factored up using growth factors that assume general background in traffic growth, but also future developments are built in there as well as part of your own local plan. So any new housing developments that are within the plan, any new employment land that's allocated, those schemes get factored into these growth rates as well. So I think you can be rest assured that the traffic growth assumptions are correct and are suitably robust.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Peter Winkler, anybody else question before? Peter, that's it, last one. Peter.
Okay, thank you, Chair. If I can just pick up on that last point from Aaron. He said the traffic data projected 22-27 and took in general increase. and future developments. Can I check, has the increase taken in the current developments, not things looking into the future? We've got a massive development at the top of Holling Lane. We've got a massive development on Langley Lane, which is probably, yeah, and I am guessing now, increasing traffic flow through there. It may be by 20% already from the data that you will have had from whether it was 2013, 14. It seemed to move the year wherever the traffic survey was done. We've already had a massive amount of increase. Plus, we're looking at 1,000 new homes in the pipeline up on Junction 19 to being mooted. So,
yeah, quick answer to that is yes, we have included your recently approved schemes as well. So just to give you we've got the Taylor Wimpey scheme, which I think you're referring to on Langley Lane. There's the Keep Promote scheme, and there's a Wayne Homes development scheme at Langley Lane as well. Significant amount of residential development and traffic included within our traffic models, above the additional 20% background traffic growth as well. So in a sense, we're doubling up on traffic flows in the area between 2014 and the future assessment years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron and Anne. That's your for attending. Right. I'll go 2 ward councillors here. Do you both want to speak, or do you one of you want to speak?
We both want to speak.
Okay. Who's going to go first?
I'll go first.
Go on. Okay.
Okay. So
We got council. Can you just for recording it? This is Councillor Sue Smith.
That's what I was just going to say. Thank you. So yeah, Councillor Sue Smith. I am a West Ward councillor. I'm all in favour of the new school. Thank God our children won't have to travel for miles to get a decent education. But as a councillor, I also live in the community. I live on Langley in Middleton West Ward, and I know for a fact that the majority of people on this estate want that new school. So obviously I'm going to be for it. Can I just ask Anna, just if I could, just to have a look at the entrance to the school that comes off Haywood Old Road, and it's off Haywood Old Road and it's opposite a bungalow. So the actual direct gates to the school are right opposite the bungalow on Haywood Old Road. I'm trying to think of the name of it while we speak, but I can't think of it. But if you go down there, you'll see it. So this lady's going to have, she already has had obstructions to get into a bungalow. I've actually been down there and I spoke to her. The lady isn't in opposition to the school. She wants the school, but it would be good if you go back, I think it's on slide 2. So if you go back and have a look at the plans and just see whether you can move that entrance just slightly to the left of the bungalow or slightly to the right of the bungalow, and then it's not directly right in front of her house, because already she's getting obstructions to get into her own home, and she's an elderly lady. And she's put a for sale sign up, but she really doesn't want to sell the bungalow. She wants to stay there. So if we could make that little alteration, then she'd be happy. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Anybody question for Susan? No. Councillor Phil Burke.
Thank you, Chair. It's just a comment, if I can, please. Access to the school entrance is under construction and was approved previously as part of the outline planning application. This is understood, and these comments do not relate to the previous application, but do relate to the internal layout and capacity of the internal roadway. To reduce the needs for vehicle access from Haywood Old Road, students rely heavily on the cycling and walking routes from Langley through Bowley country playing fields. At this stage, the planning application refers to an upgrade by the council along this route. The access by vehicles from Haywood Old Road, I now understand from the meeting tonight that they will not have any school buses. They will not be using any school buses on site. The pickup points will be permitted on Haywood Old Road. Highways have said that if this happens, they'll ensure restrictions are implemented to prevent this from happening. Also, the present plans show a long driveway to the school with around, as the officer said tonight, 91 car park spaces. This is likely to be for staff. But what's not shown on the plans is a bus lay-by, should they need to refer to using buses in the future. The present plans do not show any bus lay-by facilities or drop-off pickup points provisions within the school grounds. This must be challenged, as without suitable internal roadway layout marking provisions for buses dropping off and picking up, it will inevitably be creating havoc on Heywood Hall roads, as cars picking up and dropping off are likely to do 180-degree turns to get back to where they'd come from. Therefore, if I can ask for 2 conditions to be implemented today, and the first condition would be that no pupils are committed to the school until such times as the works to upgrade the cycle path from Langley are implemented, and such works to be subject to a further planning application if it's needed. Reason: to ensure that the walking and cycling route is completed and fit for purpose prior to the school opening for the new pupils. That a vehicle tracking assessment is carried out and submitted for approval for the school entrance driveway to include buses, staff parking, and a drop-off for around 250 cars over a 15 to 30-minute window slot. Reason: to ensure that the internal layout of the school driveway is correctly figured and sufficient capacity to ensure no major disruption along the Heywood Hall Road. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Anybody has a question for the ward councillor? No. Thank you, Phil and Susan. Right, it's open to debate now.
Would you like us to clarify any points? Do you want me
Yeah,
to
if you
bring in
want
the
to.
highways officer and the planning officer just to clarify on those few points that were raised?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, please.
Okay, John, do you want to take them first on highways?
One of the points you've asked for there, Phil, was the tracking of the schools. That there was actually of the buses and stuff shown in. That was actually shown in the presentation earlier. Now, as Anna alluded to in her presentation, there is a lot of area for stacking here that could be utilised for, you know, bus use and what have you, and pick up and drop off on the way through to the car park. And then you've got the car park itself lends itself to people being able to enter forwards and leave forwards. It's a big loop there. So that's all been tracked, and that all does work, and it will work fine. It's a matter of paint on the ground if you wanted to put some specific bus laybys in there. But doing that sort of prevents you from using it for any other purpose afterwards, or people would be ignoring it. So I don't think it's really required to put that as a condition. I think that's a conversation we can have, though, about doing between ourselves and Anna. The other point you raised, let me just check what that was again. Sorry, I've lost myself a little bit here.
John, I think there was a point about it being able to accommodate 250 vehicles.
Yeah, the parking provision is already well in excess of what we can actually request. We do believe that there is sufficient parking there for the staff and the people picking up, dropping off and picking up and what have you. We appreciate that the traffic volume surrounding any school, as I mentioned, it's you get that sort of 30 minutes in that's bad. This design lends itself better than any other we've got in the borough because it's actually considering those things when it's gone forward. Genuinely, I think the provision here is going to be, I think it's absolutely ideal for the school we have. Yeah.
Okay, John. Any Danielle, that's it, or do you want?
Just ask the planning officer to just come in and clarify on the Rochdale Way and the cycle route.
Yeah, so on the outline planning commission, there was a condition that we had agreed last time with regards to the improvements of Rochdale Way and the timings associated with that. So if you look at condition 3, that was requiring the details for Rochdale Way. So that's already been agreed at Outline Planning Commission, and a conditions discharge application is already in to agree those details. So that's actually already been covered in terms of that condition for the Outline Planning Commission, and we wouldn't need to regurgitate that on a Reserve Matters Commission.
Okay.
Can I just clarify that's with regards to the walking and cycling routes that are already a condition? That's what Samir is saying about the Rochdale Way. That is the walking and cycling routes we already have as a condition.
Yeah, so they will be upgraded, Councillor Burke, before the school opens.
Okay. Got a comment to made, Aaron Davison.
Yes, Chair. It's just that the question that Councillor Smith made about the bungalow opposite the school and the problem that she's having there, and if anything can be done.
I'll take that one, Chair.
Daniel.
The main point, yeah, the main point there, Chair, through you, is that the access into the site was approved with the outline planning permission. It's not something we can consider again under this application. Obviously, you have alluded there, Councillor Smith, to a few issues that are occurring during the construction works and the works that have already been undertaken. And there are provisions for construction management details. So all I'll suggest is if the resident is having particular difficulties and contractors blocking driveways, do get in touch with us and we will investigate those matters.
I have done, to be fair. Is that okay if I come back? Yeah, I have done, to be fair, and Alex Whitaker's been down there as well, and I'd speak to talk to this lady. But I'm just surprised that you can't actually do anything at this stage. No, you've done
No,
it.
this is the application already been addressed. This is the material issue here, and I think the best way for that would be in the later stage, the highway can deal with it on its own self. Any issue, the resident on the highway. This is the material we are dealing with here, not the highway itself.
Okay.
Okay.
I get that. Thank you.
Thank you. So I think I will encourage the highways to deal with the work with the ward councillors and any issue rise. I mean, this is not going to be perfect. There probably many issues might come up, but you need to work with the highways and the ward councillor to address it. Okay.
Sorry, can I just come in there? Councillor Smith, just to let you know, we have got the clerk of works for the site is now going down on a daily basis, and I am visiting the site on a daily basis to speak with the people who are undertaking the access construction. So I will speak to them specifically with that matter in mind.
Yeah, thank you. It might have been resolved, but that's where the gates are going to go, I think, so as the entrance to the school, and that's what I was querying tonight. If that's going to be the entrance to the school, that's going to cause major problems. That was my point tonight.
Thank you, Sue Smith. I think that was covered everything. Councillor Winkler, it's open to discussion now anyway.
That's great, Chair. Thank you. Councillor Smith, I did try to raise this issue with the junction, almost a cross junction, earlier on. I think one of the things that the highways have to consider is that we've got a right and a left turn directly opposite that resident's house, where cars will stack up waiting to turn into the school road, and you could have queuing cars waiting to turn from both directions. That's going to exacerbate a problem that already exists. However, the one thing I've got for this debate is everything we keep seeing from the residents who are sat here tonight and came last time is issues and issues. And I know ward councillors have said about people in the broader area really want this school, and I don't think any of us disagree with that. We need a school. Yes, we should have one. I did say last time I thought it was the wrong area, but what I do think is there's been some very, very poor consultation with residents about this. Whether that is because we've been in a COVID pandemic, or whether, dare I say, we're hiding behind that for consultation. Whatever we've done, the residents don't feel they've been consulted with. So whether we feel we've done it well or not, we've not made them feel part of it. We've not convince them of what we're trying to do by consulting with them. They've got issues with it being a heritage area. I know they've got issues on air quality and traffic and parking, that there's so many things that they're raising. It just does concern me that have we done a good enough job of consulting with those people in a very small village, which is a heritage area and has a lot of issues that directly impacts on those people. I appreciate we're serving the wider community, but those people are going to live with this school day in, day out.
Okay. Right. Okay. Anybody else want to have a discussion? Is open to discussion. Anybody else want to come in?
Yeah, Chair.
Council Faisal Rana.
Chair, thank you very much. Chair, as we already know, this is the outline planning permission was granted before, and this is the material discussion and all that. And we got about 34 participants here, and including the objector. I think there is no objection for having school anywhere. It's the discussion they're having is around traffic and all that. But the issue I see is that, yeah, we want the school, but not in my backyard. You know, I think that is the issue here, because if everybody keeps saying that, Chair, then we will not be make schools anywhere. I'm quite confident with the discussion we have heard from the highway officers, and they have looked at everything, and I'm hoping and I'm sure that they have done their homework and everything will be right with regard to the traffic. Similar example I can give, for instance, we're having a university, Hopewood Hall University, maybe in the future. And if people start objecting to that as well, no, we don't want here, and there's Manchester Road is only small, there will be so much traffic here as well. So then we will not have anything in Rochdale, and people will always say, oh, nothing happens in Rochdale. So I think the proposal is good, and Highway's done their work. And if there's anything, you know, which Highway can do, and like the officer said that they will be going on site on regular basis, I think we should grant this application and let it go forward. Any issues, the Highways officers can address it afterwards, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Wazir Shah. And then Peter Rush.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I mean, the application we are considering tonight is a material one, and I think overall our officers have done a very good job. They have addressed those issues very effectively. What we are trying to do tonight is to ensure that we got everything right, because this is the plan for the future. It's not just for next year or the year after. This is like many decades and hopefully a century as well. And at this point, we are saying, have we got everything right? Was there anything missing that perhaps we could have mentioned on the night? And then as we know, the traffic and the vehicle volume is increasing year on year. And that was the point I was making. But otherwise, I think I've seen the design, the layouts, and sort of landscaping and the building. I think a good job has been done. And we will always have people who are not entirely happy. That's a human nature. We understand that. But we have to see the overall, the big majority interests have been served. So if nobody else is to second Faisal Rana's proposal, then I will second that proposal.
Thank you, Wazir Shah. Anybody else want to say anything before we go for a vote? Yeah. Councillor Winkler.
Sorry, Chair, I'll be very, very, very quick. I just really don't like the implication that objectors that have come here tonight with very valid concerns are being branded NIMBYs.
Thank you.
I don't think that's fair, Chair.
I mean, I know what you're saying, but the problem is, I mean, I'm a chair and I have a 5 school in my ward, 5 to 6 school, and where I live, they're 500 meters each way, but somebody have to sacrifice something here.
Absolutely, Chair. I have 4 in mind, so you know,
yeah.
I think we all do.
Yeah. Okay. It's been
I know
proposed.
I'm not allowed to speak, but I think that's
No.
they're just calling us.
It's been proposed by Faisal Rana and it's been second councillor by Wazir Shah. Peter, can you roll out the vote, please?
Yes, Chair. Councillor Davidson.
Before I make a comment, can I just say that I'm one of the committee members and I don't follow what Councillor Rana said. So I'd like that minuted that I do not believe that they're NIMBYs. 4.
Councillor Susan Emmett.
4.
Councillor Rachel Massey,
For.
Councillor Amna Mir,
For.
Councillor Sean O'Neill,
For.
Councillor Faisal Rana,
Or,
Councillor Hassan Rashid,
For.
Councillor John Taylor,
For.
Councillor Peter Rush,
For.
Councillor Shah Wazir,
For.
Councillor Peter Winkler,
I've not been convinced it's the right location again, Chair. I'm against.
Councillor Samina Zahir,
For.
Councillor Mohammed Zaman,
For.
and Councillor Shakil Ahmed.
Abstain. So the recommendation has been approved. Thank you very much. I mean, it's a difficult matter, but this will go a long way to help the shortage of the places in the borough. But it might not be perfect, and I hope highways and the developer will work with the resident best possible, and any concern they have, they can address as best they could. Thank you very much, Jilly Garside and Mr. Colling, for attending this meeting. Okay, so the recommendation has been approved. So we move on to next item. And next item is 6, agenda item 6. That's the appeals. Anybody have a question on that?
Yes, Chair, please, if I may.
Yeah.
Two really. The Lady House Mill appeal, which has been dismissed. Can I ask where we go from here now, please, on this application? And the second one is the mast, which I'm really pleased with. Thank you. But it's just, where do we go now with the Lady House appeal? Now it's been dismissed.
Daniela?
Sorry, Councillor Davidson, could you just clarify, do you mean in terms of bringing the site forward for development? Or?
Yeah,
Right.
because now they've lost it's been dismissed, and some of the comments that were made by the officer in charge. Where do we stand with this site now? Do they have to come back to us and start all over again and do it properly this time, or?
In effect, yes. If they were to propose development on the site and they wanted to bring it forward, they would have to come back to us again and start again in that respect. Obviously, the planning decision and the inspector's decision are both material considerations, so we'd have to work within the parameters that they have set.
Thank you, much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody?
Thank you, Chair.
No? Thank you, Irene Davidson. Agenda item 7. These are the notification appeal have been lodged. So anybody has any questions on that? No.
We acknowledge, Chair.
Right. Thank you very much, and thank you very much everybody for attending tonight meeting. And this next meeting is on, Daniel, I think
it's on the 8th of April.
8th of April, Chair. Yeah. So you can close that YouTube Now channel. I think that's it. Thank you very much, and
Thank
good
you.
night.
Thank you very
Good
much.
night from me. And